Hey, welcome back. This is part two of my interview with Glen from Glen's Retro Show. Originally, we were going to just talk about the Star Wars yoke and the Kickstarter, but Glen gave some really interesting insights about the business behind GRS and kind of how things originated. And I thought it was a pretty cool story that you guys would want to hear, so check it out. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you after the jump.
I was actually talking with a arcade manufacturer. I can't name the name. They asked me never to name the name, but it's actually an arcade manufacturer.
Wait, hold on. So let me pause you real quick. So I'm
Yep.
not going to drill you for the name, but when you say arcade manufacturer, you mean like real full size arcade machines? Like what can you tell us about this partner?
Well, I can definitely tell you they're a company that makes just about anything from pinball machines to arcade machines to vending machines. It's just a very large manufacturer, and there's probably not a game one of you people out there not played that they've had their hands in.
And so this big conglomerate mega company saw that the future was going to be home arcades and they reached out to you. I mean that's incredible. How did they have the idea or foresight that this would be a big category?
Well, they have, there were certain things that they wanted to do. And, just like when I was growing up, when you wanted to play the best game, you went to the arcade, right? But in today's world, there are arcades, but it's more of like a, Dave and Buster's kind of thing where it's like a $40,000, $50,000 arcade machine.
Well,
That's
don't
really hard
forget
to,
about the barcades, but they're not running new machines. So I know what you're saying.
right,
Like the new machines
right,
being built aren't what we grew up playing.
right. So these arcade companies back in the, 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, they were having a lot of product going out there into the arcades. That is not gone, but it's definitely gone down quite a bit, where the home game market has gone the opposite way. It's gone up, and more so, the retro gaming community has really started to. I mean, it's been around for a long time, retro games, but I would say in the last 5 years is really companies have been coming in left and right, getting in on the craze,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of money to be made here, and they're realizing that we're the age group to target, and to do that, somebody's got to be halfway decent when you bring it out. So I was talking to them back and forth for a while, throwing back ideas back and forth for a while. And the first one we came up with was, we want to do a better spinner for the arcade one-up. And that's how that kind of started. And we decided it was going to be a Hall effect. So there's no moving parts other than the actual wheel spinning on ball bearings. And,
Which,
we
well, let
launched it.
me let me pause you real quick. So, isn't that basically the design that's with their new updated spinner, or am I wrong there? Other than
No,
I know
there's
it's plastic, but yeah, go ahead.
it's plastic, but it's still an optical encoder. So it's not using magnetic technology. It's
Okay.
basically like an optical mouse. They have a little LED with a reader and a
Yeah,
little wheel that goes
I've
through it with little holes.
I've seen it. When you said hollow, I was thinking that's what you meant, like as in like imaging. But so you're
Right.
saying so yours is a magnetic sensor.
Correct.
Okay.
And the one other difference is we spent a lot of time with how much we can make it spin for a long, long time. But a game like Tempest, when you spun it, it did spin freely, but didn't spin for 10, 15 minutes. There was a length of time.
Right.
So we made a whole bunch of prototypes. I was going back and forth for a while trying to find out what was the best amount of spin without it being too much, but still being free. And the arcade one-up right now, I again take my hat off. They came back. They've been very good to me, and I'm totally fine. If they make a better product than I do, I'll take mine off the table. It's fine. But there's an optical encoder, and it's very free spinning, meaning you could spin it, and it will spin for a while, and that's totally fine. But a game like Tempest, you don't want to hit spin and have it going around like this for 15 minutes.
Right.
So it's just a different thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people I know have mine and theirs, and they like them both. And I think it's great that they simply came back to the table and said, you know what, that wasn't the right thing to do, and they came back and redid it. That's all I care about. I care about them bring out a better product. If it's not mine, I don't care if it's theirs, as long as that the community is getting a better product. That's all that really matters to me.
Well, the fact that you studied the kind of arcade authentic resistance, I mean, that's such a cool level of detail. I would have just thought, well, let's make this as free spinning as possible. And, you took it a step further. But I've heard you say that before, and I want to ask you about that. This idea that, making these products, this company's investing money in it. You're investing, I don't know if you're investing money in it, but whether you are or not, you're investing a lot of time in it, right? You're putting your brand out
Right,
there.
right.
Um, why not try to compete a little bit more and make some money off of this?
Well, I'm not looking to be a competitor to any one of these companies. I'm simply here to help. You know, that when they came out with this stuff, I saw a need, and if they never fill that need, my spinner would just be out there. I'm still going to supply it because it's used now for many other things other than Arcade 1-Up, but I'm not here to take money out of their pocket. I'm here to make sure that guys like you, Jimmy, Marianne, whoever's got these machines, gets the most enjoyment they have with it, whether it's with mine or theirs. But if I see someone make a product that can be improved, we're going to tackle it as best we can. And if they step up to the plate and make it better, again, all the better. Competition's great. And I'm just thankful that Arcade 1-Up has been as good to me as they have been. And they also made a product that it's an option. It's just another option, and people should have options.
Yeah, so completely agree about options. I mean, if first off, Arcade 1-Up probably never, maybe with some of the limited edition stuff they're doing, some of the direct, the products you can buy direct from their site, like the Burger Times, the Marvel limited edition, the Black Series cabinet to a lesser degree, are kind of targeting a little bit of an upscale, not totally, but a little bit of an upscale offering. But if I'm Arcade 1-Up and I'm trying to sell to a general audience, I've got all this pressure to keep my price under $300 or $350 or whatever, to move it at Walmart. Right. I'm always going to have to restrict my design a bit. And if I have someone like you out there putting high quality components into the market so that the Marianne or whatever the names you said, if those people buy this cabinet, but then they can go to you and upgrade it. I mean, honestly, you just helped Arcade 1-Up. Why do they care if you're using their spinner or yours? They're obviously not making most of their money off selling these little components. They're kind of doing that because they sort of have to, I think. But anything you're selling is helping them out. I don't know. Long story short, I hope you make some money with this, man, because the attention to detail, the time, the risk, all of that.
Well, I'll tell you right now, what we've been doing to this point is, we haven't made really anything. What we've done basically is money that the spinner had made got rolled into making the trackball and the 12-in-1 board. And then the funds from that went into making the Tron joystick. But that wasn't really sustainable for the growth we wanted to do, which is why we kicked off the Kickstarter for the Star Wars yoke. Originally, we were going to pull up that money together to make the Star Wars yoke, but we still would have had to put in a substantial amount of our own money into it. And we figured, we'll give Kickstarter a try. And I'm going to be honest, I was nervous doing it. We've never done a Kickstarter before. It's still nervous. But I'll never forget. I looked, we posted it, and I saw the very first person who did it. I'm like, oh my God, someone actually did it. Then a couple hours later, it was like at 5,000. And then at the end of the first day, it was like 12. I'm like, oh my God. And then, like I said, up until a little while ago, it was already at 20. So I'm just really thankful that people, because I've gotten emails from people too. And that's probably the other good thing is I get emails from people telling me, thank you, you make the product, you built such a great product. I'm only buying this because I know your products have been good.
Right. That's that brand equity you have. It's huge.
Right. And that's, and it's also, it makes you worried because sometimes you start doing it. Like, is it good enough now? I want people to be happy with the purchases. And then you start worrying, did I do it good enough? Did I put the right amount of money for the right part of that feel and stuff? And that's now the new worry that comes out when you're doing these things. Like I said, the spinner, when that came out, I've gotten nothing bad, only
perfect
praises.
Product from what I've read.
Right, and that's also why we did it on Amazon. Amazon costs us a lot of money. I mean, they take a good chunk of everything that we sell. However, Amazon has got a good recognition. If you buy from Amazon, most likely either A, you're going to get a good product, or B, if there's a problem, Amazon will make sure you get taken care of. You get a refund or whatever. So we felt that was very important, that the consumer felt safe purchasing a no-name at the time product. I mean, when my stuff was coming out, other than in the forums and me showing it on my channel, no one knew it from anything. But then the spinner came out and did really well. And then the next thing we came out with was obviously the trackball. And that one, I would say probably was 88 to 90% of what people expected. They felt in like Centipede, it was a little too sensitive, but it's a ball bearing, high resolution trackball. So it takes a few minutes to get getting used to it. Like when I first got it, my guys in overseas, man, they wanted to strangle me because I kept saying, it's too sensitive. It's too this, too that. I don't like it. Going back and forth, back and forth. And they sent me, I got a stockpile like this high of boards that was popping in and out with all these different settings in there. And I ended up going back to their original because it just took a few minutes to get used to in Centipede. But in all the other games, it's like phenomenal. I mean, everyone I've talked to who's used it said they doubled or surpassed their high scores with that. But they do feel it's a little too sensitive in Centipede. Now, if you have a MAME cabinet, like you converted your Arcade 1-Up to MAME, or you have a MAME cabinet, you could dial that sensitivity down because I think they were saying when you spin the trackball like once with your finger, you're supposed to move like 3 mushrooms, and I move a lot more than 3, like 8 mushrooms. So it's a lot more sensitive. So true purists of Centipede don't really like my trackball as much. They still say it's okay, but it's not what it should be. So sometimes it's a hard fine line between cost, performance, and thinking beyond what it was really designed for. I mean, it was designed to replace the Centipede, but there's also, Crystal Castle's on there, and Missile Command. Those games, it makes them much better. And if I turned down a little bit to get the Centipede better, it was taken away from the other games. So I had to kind of juggle that in there.
Yeah, and that's not really your fault or your problem. That's just inherent to a multi-game cabinet that doesn't allow for different settings per game.
Right.
Right. I don't see how you'd address that.
Well, there's always the possibility of making another change in the future. But again, it comes down to still cost. We're trying to give you the most bang for your buck. And to make something like software selectable within the product would have added months into the R&D and a cost. So at some point, like any guy who sells you anything, to say one point you got to put a stake in the ground and say, this is what we're going to go with. But again, if anyone knows my products, we had my original spinner, and then it came out with a version 2 spinner, and we didn't charge anything for that upgrade. We sent out boards for free.
Wow.
I was shipping them out free to all our original version 1 to version 2s. And again, with my trackball, we had we did a small update to the technology in there, and we're charging parts. It's like $5, I think. So $5, you can upgrade your version 1 trackball to version 2. So everything we've done, like even with the Tron joystick, was originally designed for regular PCs and arcade 1-up. Now the Legendary Ultimate here, it was a little too thick, and my original Tron joystick would hit. You couldn't really use it too well. So we had to redesign that, and we're selling that for the kit for $11. So you have to buy the original kit. So we did an absolute minimum cost to get that going out there, because we're not trying to take advantage of people. We're trying to give people a better experience with the games. And over time, if we make a couple dollars here and there, that's fine. But right now, we're just trying to make the end user happy and get products out there to be enjoyed.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Amazon. That was actually on my list to ask you about. So definitely the right move when you're launching a brand new product line. Like you said, Amazon, people trust. If they're not happy with the product, they know they can get a refund, whatever. You now have incredible brand equity, like we've talked about. The Kickstarter success is absolute proof positive that there's just no question anymore. What do you think about doing a web store? Is that in the plans where you guys can sell directly and not give Amazon their cut? And you can also sell on Amazon. These things don't have to be exclusive.
That's been in the works for a while. But again, I guess I'm still shocked over how well the Kickstarter is going, about the brand recognition. So it will happen at some point, because Amazon really does take a large portion of sales.
They're brutal. They know that they're market dominant, and they take what they can, which is a lot.
Right.
Isn't it like around 20%, something like that?
Yeah, on a good day.
Yeah.
But it was much more important for me and for my partners that the end user just felt comfortable. So eventually, yes, we are going to do that. I think it makes sense for us as we expand, because Amazon's model for us, we're a small group of people, just have a really big passion for this, that it's not going to be sustainable over the long term. But I definitely do not want to do that till I feel like the community sees that I'm trying to do the right thing by them. And
you're too humble, man. I mean, listen, the community already sees that. I think any day you want to turn on like a Shopify store or something like that. I mean, hell, you set that up, you pay $40-$50 a month to have your e-commerce in a box online.
Right.
You'll be moving these things at the same speed you're moving them now. You're going to get a better margin. The community's going to be fine. I think you've already earned that, but that's just my view.
A funny story is when we started doing the spinner, when that was first coming out, people were obviously not happy with the other one, and they were like almost screaming at me, "When's it coming out? When's it coming out?" And we ship stuff to Amazon, but when Amazon gets it, if they get it, say today, doesn't mean it comes up today or tomorrow. They got to ship it to 4 or 5 other warehouses. They got to do stock. So it took like another 2 months between our initial batch to being deployed. So we ended up doing I did a small, which we have done again because it's a lot of work. We did like a pre-order. I took 200 pre-orders and I shipped them out personally. I had 200 of these devices. I had a label I had to keep track of. I went to the post office. They wanted to strangle me. The post office. Did. Like this big box.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Oh, it's a spinner. It's a this. So that was a lot of work. And again, I like everyone else, I work a full-time job.
Yeah.
You know, I leave 7:30 in the morning. I'm home 5:30 at night. I have my son Cole, my co-host, my dog. I got my family got to take care of, the house. So and plus all the forums. I try and juggle it all, but I just want to make sure again that people enjoy the product. I don't want them going out buying something and going home and being disappointed. That I've had that feeling. I don't like other people having that feeling.
I think you're so far from that being a concern. I think you're too hard on yourself. And all that stuff you just explained, you've got a job, you got a family, and all these things. That's a reason to charge a few more bucks, man. I'm just saying.
At some point, maybe someday.
Someday.
Let's see how the Kickstarter goes. We're not at 30 yet. We still got about 10 to go, so we'll see.
That's right. Shout out to the Kickstarter. If you haven't contributed yet, make sure you do. I know a lot of people that watch my channel are basically Arcade 1-Up enthusiats, so you heard it here. It's going to be compatible, so make sure that you check that out.
Right. We have got a lot of good. Levels in there for different stages of the Kickstarter.
Okay. Oh yeah, I saw that. So yeah, do you want to go through that? I can get into a few questions later. Do you want to talk through what the different levels are and kind of give a shout out?
Yeah, we do it real quick. So sure. We do have my spinner, which is just a generic spinner, but the first tier is like $50. And if you go for that, you'll get actually a Tron themed spinner. So it's still my spinner's guts, but the top, instead of being the silver one we normally give, it looks like from the Tron arcade machine. So it's custom just for the Kickstarter. And then if you go for $100, you still get that Tron themed spinner, but you also get my full Tron joystick kit, which is the light up controller, the encoder board, the different locking gates. And then if you go for the $150, you'll be going and getting the yoke itself. That's going to retail for probably over $200 after the Kickstarter. And then if you go up to, I think it's $249 or $242 or something like that, you get everything, which means you'll get not only my Tron spinner and joystick and the yoke, you'll also get my trackball and my 12-in-1 board.
And you said that's
everything for that.
$250 for that?
I think it was $250, $252, something around there. I forgot that one. That's the high-end one. Yeah. I never think anyone's going to go for the high-end one, but apparently a lot of people have.
See, that's my point, Glenn. You're not listening to me. You always think people aren't going to do stuff. They're doing stuff. They're letting you know. Isn't the All-in-One gear-based, the metal gear-based yoke, $350? So you're
yes.
So for $250, roughly, give or take a few bucks, you're doing a yoke that's going to have better long-term durability, probably. I mean, it has to. There aren't the mechanicals. And all these other accessories for $100 less. I mean, Jesus.
Right, and that's also, if you got the All-in-One, you still have to buy the USB encoder, which is like another $80 on top of that. So you really had like $400, a little up to $400.
Savage, my man. All right. I have a question just about a steering wheel. So it seems like an obvious thing for these cabinets to do next. When I think about your accessories, just the stuff behind you, right? The Tron stick is a unique piece. Right. The yoke's a unique piece. We know about the spinners. When are we going to get a racing cabinet? So that's a question for Arcade 1-Up more than for you. But
well, a lot of people have made them. I mean, my friend Bruce Yeager just built a beautiful driving cabinet. But I will say that, that's always been in our works. Steering wheel, full steering wheel.
That was my question. So are you planning to build I mean, and if you're going to do that, how similar is that internally to what you've done with the yoke? Is it really similar?
Well, it's all going to depend on how this kick, which is going really well right now. So it depends on this. But the steering wheel also will be using our Hall effect. I'll be using magnets for that steering wheel, and we'll have a gear shifter and the pedals. Hall effect is kind of our thing. We want, again, if people don't know what the Hall effect is, you can look it up. Actually, I think the Dreamcast was like the first home console with their analog stick using the Hall effect.
No, I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure that they were the first one, and I love the Dreamcast.
Me too, man. I'm still mad at PlayStation for burying my Dreamcast. And to shout out to all my friends when I was in high school who wouldn't buy the Dreamcast because PS2 is around the corner. And little did they know it would be like 3 years before PS2 got any games that were worth the
shit. What's really funny about that saying? If you look at a PS1 game today, it's dated. It looks dated.
It looks like shit.
You look at a Dreamcast game today.
Gorgeous.
It looks like it could still be a game of today.
I know.
It's a real shame. It's a real shame.
Battle 1, fight!
I'm mad at Sega for a couple of things, and that was not one of them.
No, it wasn't. But all the, I mean, there have been 100 videos made on this already, but it was all the crap they did with the 32X, the CD, the Saturn, market confusion,
Right.
all that. But,
For me personally, it was the CD because I wanted CD technology, and that CD-ROM had an extra 68,000. It had stretching and zoom built in, more sound channels, and instead of having a game, like with Mode 7, they gave me full motion video games.
right.
It sucked.
It was a total gimmick.
Yep.
That was what Night Trap launched on, right? Is this
Correct.
Sega
And
CD?
that whole thing started with, getting the ages in the games.
Yeah,
The government
jeez.
likes.
We should do a video sometime just on some consoles that we want to yell about.
We could do that.
Whatever. I'm still mad about the Dreamcast stuff, but it gives me fond memories. And if we ever get a Dreamcast Mini, which will probably be 100 years from now, I'll be happy. But so you have in the works, again, pending success with this Kickstarter, I get all that. But you have in the works already a steering wheel. You've already looked at, you said shifter, so I could kind of understand how pedals would work the same way probably the gearing would with.
Yep.
But how would a shifter work? And are you at the prototyping phase, or where are you with this?
We're along.
Okay, that's fine.
We're along.
All right.
But yes, with the magnet, I mean, the Hall effect, we could read a magnetic field, so from a little bit, to a lot. But even with a gear shifter with a magnet, just contact, shift.
Okay, so it's just reading. Well, why not just use a little micro switch then?
Well, micro switch is still mechanical; it can still wear out.
Yeah, that's a good man. You're always thinking ahead. All right, I like that. Nice.
And we're also looking at we have a very high technology light gun that I can't go too much into that, but I will say that our light gun technology is probably the best that's going to be out. And that's also going to depend on how the Kickstarter goes, which again, I think is going pretty well. So I think we have a pretty high hopes of having light guns as well.
So I don't know a ton about these underlying technologies, but are these things that are patentable, or are these real innovations that, the first time this has been applied, or is it just the first time it's been applied at the consumer price point? Is this something you could patent?
Well, it's already the stuff. A lot of stuff's already been patented. It's coming from an arcade, company. So they've definitely
they developed this technology, and then now what you're doing is driving it into some really great products that are fine tuned for all of us to love and buy at a reasonable price and all that.
Right. And what's kind of funny is, if people with the At Games legends remember back when Doug, Cool Toy, and Retro Ralph were out when they first were prototyping it, my spinners were in the unit.
Yeah, well, and they were kind of, let's talk about that real quick. They were kind of teasing. I remember the weirdest damn video. It was, they had the At Games legends like in a hotel room.
Right.
And and then hilariously, it was that Dave guy who was previously had done PR as a vendor, but threw Arcade One Up. So I see this video and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Are we in grandma's kitchen? And like, why is the Arcade One Up employee here? I was so confused. But David in that video, and I think it was a Cool Toy video, if I remember right. This was before I was doing videos. I was just watching this stuff. But he hinted or intimated that the spinner would be your spinner, but he didn't call it out by name, because I think Doug asked him that, hey, is this the GRS spinner? And he said, well, we can't say that, but wink, wink.
Yeah.
So what happened
I think
there?
what he said was, Doug did ask the question, because I'm no secret, I'm friend with Cool Toy Doug. He asked the question, and the answer was, I believe it's be recognizable to people in the community.
Yeah, that's what he said. You're right.
That was the official answer. So again, it just came down to, I guess the spinner they have here, again, it's adequate. It's an optical spinner. It's not a magnetic spinner. They just decided to go with a slightly lower cost solution, and I can get that. I mean, this cabinet has a lot of technology in it, and I can't imagine even making much on the cabinet. It's a really nice cabinet.
Doubt. And to have two spinners included.
Right. So they went with an optical encoder technology, which again, I'm fine with it. As long as they didn't put in something that was subpar. I've been using it, and it works very well. So again, I have no problem with them deciding, to go another route. My spinner is still being used in many of the applications, and it's actually is being used. I definitely can't name machines, but it is being used in some arcade machines for a fact. So
like some newly produced machines that stock come with your spinner?
Perhaps.
Okay. Man, I hate how coy you have to be, but I guess you're working with these Megacorp, so it's fine.
Right. And then, I'm definitely a small fry, and I could not take a breach of an NDA, so I got to be very careful.
Well, and this is probably walking up to the line of NDA stuff too. So you feel free to speak in generalities, or maybe if this isn't applicable at all, we don't have to talk about it. But how does the money work? I mean, when you dance with the devil, so to speak, huge company, you know, how do proceeds or royalties get distributed? Did you agree upon some percentage? Is it tiered based on how many units you sell? Are they looking to you to really sell it, or are they helping with that?
Well, I could definitely say right now, I am not really taking a dime from it. We've constantly just been rolling money every time we've made any profit, just to make it the next product.
So I get that you're reinvesting it, but I'm just saying from a perspective of, let's say you guys sell $100,000 worth of units in the next 6 months. That's just a number I pulled out of my hat. But is there a defined percentage that you have kind of control over, or that could go to you as this thing grows? And what does that look like?
I guess we could say we have a gentleman's agreement. If that makes sense.
Can I be your business manager, my dude? We're gonna sort something out, man.
Well, I could definitely tell you, my best friend Mary, and she's probably watching this video when it gets put up, wants to strangle me over some of that.
Yeah,
but
I bet.
you know what? I know it sounds so stupid, but I just have such a passion for it. I'm not thinking about, some people I guess are that way, and that maybe I'm stupid. I'm sure a lot of people will say I'm stupid, but I'm just really in it for the passion to give people enjoyment.
It's not that it's stupid. It's pure, man. I feel like I'm talking to Gandhi right now. I don't want you leaving money on the table. That's why we don't have to dwell on this topic any longer.
Well, I will say you're not the first person to say that to me, and my business partners, I think will be doing okay by me if we ever get to that stage.
Okay.
I hope.
Well, you'll get to that stage, I'm sure. Especially with Arcade 1-Up increasingly doing these unique control input type cabinets. And that's just more and more opportunity for you to have stuff in the game. All right, let's see. What else do I have? Well, hell, we may have covered a lot of this. Well, okay, here's a question that I'm sure you can't answer explicitly, but can you give us just an order of magnitude, thumb in the wind sense for sales volume? I mean, what kind of number of units you've sold, or dollars, or however you want to express it, or is there anything you can tell us there? Total. I'm talking about from day one, all the products.
I don't know if I have a total for all the products. I could definitely talk about like our spinner, which in the beginning was impossible to keep in stock.
I remember those days.
We were sending $5,000 units a pop to Amazon, and in like 24 hours they're sold out. So if I was to guesstimate, I would say we probably have something like 20,000 spinners that have been sold.
Damn, that's hardcore.
Tron joysticks, we probably have maybe 10. And trackballs, I don't know if I've asked about the trackball, but I do know we've even sold out of those. Generally, we ship 5,000 a pop to Amazon. They've sold out a couple of times.
Well, how many Asteroids cabs? And I know there's also the 12-to-1, and I know you can use it outside of Arcade 1-Up, but how many Asteroid cabs are in circulation? I mean, are there even 20,000 of those out?
I don't know, and I know Arcade 1-Up is not releasing those numbers. But like you said, the spinner has been used in many other like main projects outside of Arcade 1-Up. A lot of people are using it for like building a Tron or building a Pong machine. One gentleman, I mean, it really impressed me. If I could find it, I'll send it to you. He had an old pole position arcade machine that was busted, and he put a MAME cabinet in it, and he used the stock steering wheel with a band to my spinner wheel. So my spinner.
So he's controlling your spinner with the steering wheel shell.
Right. He's playing pole position with the steering wheel, and he had a video showing a pulley going down to my spinner, and it was working phenomenal.
That's hilarious.
It worked great. So people are doing stuff like that as well with it.
But my point was, imagine if you've sold about as many or even more of those spinners than they sold Asteroids cabinet. I mean, that's wild. That's incredible. And
it's just really good. It's good, and it's also sometimes frustrating, because you sell them and then you run out of stock, and then it takes time to have them shipped. You think, 5,000-6,000 should be more than enough, and in a day or a day and a half they're gone.
Well,
then you're freaking out.
Are people generally patient? Because I feel like it's real tale of two cities with our customer, all of us, right? You, me, all these guys watching the video, customer base. People do get frustrated, but at the same time, I feel like we're pretty patient. Like, we get mad when we'll wait a month for our customer support thing to get resolved, but we want to know it's coming, right? And stuff like that.
Right. As long as you have communication.
Yeah. Okay.
As long as you have communication, because there are people, they've again, some people out there may be saying, I sent Glenn a message. I have hundreds of messages and emails coming through. I would say I'm not going to lie. I would say 90 9%, 98% are all just thanks, great stuff, or how'd you do this, or can you show me how you did that type of questions. But I do have the couple that my trackball didn't work, or the spinner wasn't as good as I thought it was. As long as you communicate, look, we'll get you another one, and we've always stepped up. We've always believed in customer service as well. But as long as people are communicated with, I think they are patient. It's only when they reach out and they hear crickets,
Right.
That's when the frustration level goes up. And I understand it because I've been on both sides of that coin.
Of course.
I've actually been fortunate, and I'm not going to lie. I got like 11, 12, or maybe 13 arcade one-up units, and I've not had any major issue, to be quite honest.
Holy
any
shit!
Of them.
13, and you have 100% success rate.
I do,
Good
but I
for you.
know people have not. Like another friend of mine, John Hancock, was sent a centipede, and it wasn't working. And he reached out to Arcade One Up, and there was a time when they were getting a lot of issues, and they were very busy. And he's frustrated. And I reached out to him, and I did their customer support for him. I got his trackball fixed. I got his machine working, display working, and John, in one of his videos, even thanked me for salvaging the machine for him. So
that's a YouTuber. That's somebody with a platform.
Right. Correct. And I've been doing that a lot as well. When part of my forum, I've done a lot of customer service for Arcade One Up in the beginning and helped them out. And again, they've been very good to me as well. I mean, I have very good rapport with them.
But did you get a Burger Time cabinet?
I did not, but Retro Ralph did. And that's fine.
I know.
One of my fellow guys did.
They
I actually hope, to be honest, if they were going to send me one,
yeah,
I would ask them to send it to Sean from Re-Res, because I honestly think he's the one who really convinced them to do this. Because people were asking and talking about, converting the Karate Champ to Burger Time, but he was the biggest advocate and very vocal about it.
I never knew that. I've seen some of his videos, but I didn't know that at all. That's
he
awesome.
did, and I think Scott actually called him out at one point. So if anyone should get one, I think it should be him, because he really loves Burger Time, and he was a big advocate.
Or they could just send him money, because I bet they're going to sell a lot more Burger Times than they would have Karate Champ. I don't have a problem with Karate Champ, but it seemed to turn a lot of people off. I kind of like the artwork for it. It's not a game I grew up playing. It was a little bit before my time. My arcade didn't have it, but I was planning to buy one. I thought the artwork looked cool, but man, once they flipped it to Burger Time, people went wild.
Well, and Scott was very honest about it. That was one of his favorite games growing up. So he's the owner of the company. He wanted Karate Champ. But, if you look at the Karate Champ next to the Burger Time, I think the Burger Time pops more.
Yeah.
And I think as far as classics go, Karate Champ is a classic game. But out of those two, Burger Time was the bigger seller. So it would make sense for them to do that. But I actually think what they should have done, they should have had a limited run of because they made some. They should have done a limited run, maybe 1,000 Karate Champs, as a super limited edition. And then the Burger Time. I think they would have probably sold them all.
Definitely, there's someone out there. I mean, there are people that would have bought the Karate Champ. I would have considered it, I guess. Yeah, that's a good point. I do think Burger Time pops more. I've played Burger Time quite a bit. That would be the game I would buy it for. I thought the Karate Champ is cool artwork. That might not be a popular opinion. That's just my view. I guess if I had a choice, I probably would go Burger Time.
Yeah, another thing too is if the Burger Time was on their standard cabinet, I wouldn't have agreed that they should have changed it. But the fact they did the cutout like the hat, they really did a nice job with it, and it looks nice.
Yeah, to do that with such a limited run cabinet, it makes me think they found a way to do that pretty cost effectively, and I'm hoping we're going to see a lot more of that. And
that's another thing to bring up, and I've come to the defense a lot of times on this, and a lot of people don't seem to understand is, Arcade One Up is manufacturing. They have customer service, shipping, product design,
sourcing of all their little components.
They're putting a lot of money into this. People like $2.99 or $3.99. They don't realize that back end of the company. Again, I'm doing that myself now, so I see it. But there's a lot of money that they deal with behind the scenes, and people got to live. They got to eat. Now, I do have a regular job. Of course, I would love to do this for full time, but in the meantime, I have a regular job. So that is their regular job. So I don't think that $2.99 or $3.99, even if you're getting 2 or 3 games in it, is bad. I mean, back in the day, if you wanted, like I have a Zaxxon, that was a $2,000 machine. You got one game.
Right. And you would die trying to move it upstairs.
I've had to pay and feed a lot of people to get it down, down here.
I bet you have.
For sure. And these guys, again, I can take these and move them at will. There are the purists, and I get that. But there's definitely a place for all of these here. And even this guy here, he's heavy, but he comes apart in sections easy enough we can still move it.
Right.
So it's much better than a Zaxxon or an actual Pac-Man machine.
No, I totally agree. There was somebody in my comments a while back saying, and you've seen it before, the arcade one up stuff's junk and real cabinet for life. But to me, the weight is the key benefit of an arcade one up, because I don't want to risk dying when I'm trying to move this into my basement or when I'm needing 12 friends or whatever. I think you mentioned Cool Toy earlier. I think he did a video talking about him and his friends trying to move their full-size Street Fighter and how hard it was. I don't want to deal with that crap.
Yep. Right. And so, you're talking hundreds and hundreds of my Zaxxon is almost 400 pounds. So and you're talking 75 pounds, a little difference.
Huge difference. And the 300 to 400 price point being reasonable. Yeah, I completely agree. I get frustrated sometimes when I see in the forums people only wanting to wait until this stuff's absolute clearance, $75. I can't buy it before then. And by the way, $75 might be too much. I just think, gee, what do people want? I think the quality at this point, I'm happy with. The custom cutout stuff is cherry on top. I didn't expect it. I know, of course, they did it with Star Wars. I saw that and thought, well, they're going to sell a lot of these units. It's $500 price point. Fine. The fact that they're also doing it for Burger Time is cool. I hope eventually we can start to see that with just all of this. Kind of like the Replicade, and a much smaller scale, how everything they produce is arcade, basically 1-to-1 for the design.
And that's just a beautiful thing of the past couple of years, that we have Arcade 1-Up, we have New Wave Toys Replicade, we have Numbskull, we got Basic Fun, we got Super Impulse, we have At Games. And At Games is the biggest surprise to me, because At Games, a lot of people had a lot of issues with At Games. And they came out with this machine here, and I'm telling you, even the biggest detractors, once they play it, it's a 180. So I am very thankful that these companies are coming out, but I've said it before in a couple of the videos, I'm also a little worried of like an oversaturation point. There might be,
I worry about that too.
Right. And then people will get their cabinets for $10, at some point.
$10.
But I agree with you. And a lot of people do say that, why can't I get it for $75, blah, blah, blah. If you're not happy with the price point of something, you don't buy it, obviously.
Right.
But, do you not buy a car until it goes down to $75 or a refrigerator?
Right.
You get it. If you see a deal, of course you're going to jump on it. I would jump on a deal. But the places selling those for those prices, that's that particular store doing that. That's not Arcade 1-Up. It's not their call to do that.
Well, and by the way, if the stores do it too much, we're in trouble, because if they get to the point where the Walmarts of the world have to move this stuff really fast, and think about with pinball, the boxes are like probably twice the size. I just saw from other people's video, but big old box. If they can't sell that for $500-600, $400, they're going to be in trouble. And then suddenly this product category we like so much is gone. So I think there's an element of, let's support what's there, and not that we can't criticize it. It's in my damn name. I criticize everything. It's just my nature. I'm a real fun person to be around with that. But, if it's good enough product, if it's exciting, then it's fun to play. We should do a follow-up discussion about the Legends Ultimate at some point. I still have not played one. I think they're going to be sending me one. I can't wait to try it out. But I'm with you. When it first launched, I was just very skeptical because of the history of At Games. And although I think they're probably their last attempt at a Sega Mini was maybe a little better than people gave them credit for, but then Sega yanked it.
Agreed.
But whatever. But they did have some really bad products, and somehow they turned it around with this. And I think there's a whole story to discuss there. And they've reinvented themselves.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd say bad products. They had very inexpensive price point, and it showed products. Like their Atari flashbacks, you need 10 of them, no. But if you want to play a simple Atari game, it's fine. The Segas were the worst with the audio. I mean, they like I said, they fixed it with the last one. But like so many other things, people had bad taste in the mouth from the other Sega products that it just wasn't good. Even though
and the IR controllers that I know a lot of them would accept an original, and then they'd they had these different iterations. But the fact that out of the box with some of those consoles you had an IR controller was crazy.
Right. And I'll tell you, I had one of the only two prototypes of that machine behind me for a while. And when I first got it, I really wasn't impressed, because a lot of the features have been added to this since it's been released. When I first got it, I was like, okay, it's like a Pandora's box. It's okay. I mean, my spinners were on it. That was nice.
Your spinner was on the prototype?
Yeah, but yes, it was.
Nice.
So when I got it, the first thing I'm going to do is take a look at it, and I did. And there was no question what was in there. But I looked at everything that was in there, and it was okay, but I didn't think it was anything special. The special has been coming out since it's been released, all these updates, the abilities they've given to this thing. and the build quality is very good. Now I know there's two different versions. There's a Sam's Club version, and then there's the Walmart version. I have the Sam's Club version, and I'm extremely happy with it. I think that they have a really good machine here. I think they have a team that's listening to the public, which they are, and they're coming up with these upgrades. So that's their advantage. This is the Swiss Army knife, where these are more dedicated, and it is a totally different experience. One's not better than the other. If you have room and you want to walk in, seeing all these beautiful machines in a room, you're going to go with these. You're not going to buy more than one of these.
Right.
They need to make the money on their other products, like bring your own game and subscriptions. That's where they're going to make their money.
Right.
This thing here, this is the with the razor and blade type of sale, where this is you're buying the car, but it's a different experience. When you walk into these guys in a room with the light up marquees and stuff on there, it just brings you back to your childhood. This is, you play anything on it. This is a console. It's very different.
Yeah, what's your opinion of them putting console games on it? So when I saw two spinners, my first thought was, well, one, that's cool, like we talked about, because that's just extra money they're throwing into it. That's awesome. But then I thought, what arcade game uses two spinners? I couldn't think of any. And it was actually somebody in my comments said, well, Pong, but that, it was
right
with the paddles. Now, I guess my first question to you, is there any arcade game that you know of that uses two spinners? And number two, what do you think of them putting console games on it? Because I'm kind of on the fence about having console in my arcade.
Well, putting the two spinners on there, Pong is actually on it. It's one of the games on here.
But it's a console game though, right?
The Pong game, no, there's actually a Pong, you can't have an arcade ROM of Pong because it was never a ROM. It was a discrete circuit, if you will.
Oh, interesting.
So it's an emulated Pong game on there, but of course they do have Atari 2600 and ColecoVision on here. And, that's one of the things that kind of underwhelmed me when I first got my prototype was they just took their Atari flashback, their ColecoVision flashback, and a couple of arcade games.
The games they already had lined up.
Right, which makes kind of sense. I mean, if you have the rights to it, they have the general use rights, it makes sense. But when you buy an arcade, a stand-up arcade, you don't want to play Combat, although I would because I'm an old geek. But you don't want to play Combat and Breakout
Sure.
and, ColecoVision Daxon. You want to play the real machines. So that was one of the things that initially took me down a notch. But as you start playing it and you're playing with the online content or being able to play your friend around the world in Germany or in Ohio.
Hey, I'm in Ohio, by the way. Did you know that, or was that just a random?
I did not. A friend of mine is in Ohio,
That's
so
funny.
I did not know that.
Yeah, random.
So that's where that's coming to shine. Now, again, with the NBA Jam, they may have that with Arcade 1-Up, starting to put that ability in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so originally it was a little underwhelming. But again, I'm from the Atari generation. I liked having them on there. But would I have spent $500 for a machine that played Atari games or Coleco? Probably not.
Right. Do you play them? Do you play those at all or much? Or do you just ignore the console stuff?
No, I was playing Adventure not too long ago.
Okay.
And Breakout.
Ironically.
Because the spinners are really good. And I've obviously been playing Tron on here. I got my stick in here, so I've been playing Tron on it.
Nice.
The one thing I'm probably going to end up doing, and people have mentioned as well, and I'm going to do it, is I'm going to make player 1 here and player 2 here, because I want my Tron controller here and my Tron spinner here, because that's how it was in the arcade machine. Right now, I got to use that as my joystick and my spinner here.
Yeah.
But it's fairly easy to make those kind of changes. It's not crazy.
Okay.
I would like at games to give those kind of options on the menu, like what joysticks player 1, so you don't have to go and physically move controller cables.
I thought I heard they were adding that. Did I imagine that? I thought they were going to let you dictate that in the software.
Well, right now, the only thing they know they can do is you can map some buttons in games themselves, not the joystick physically going from one side to the other.
Yeah, I thought I read they were going to let you do the joysticks, but I might be completely imagining that.
I could be wrong, too. The one thing about at games, they have so many firmwares coming out, it's hard to keep track sometimes.
Yeah, and you're way more up to speed on it than I am. I'm like I said, I still don't have one. I'm kind of getting my bearings on how it works, but what do you spend more time playing? I mean, I guess we're talking about the at games piece. You've got an original cabinet. You've got a number of arcade 1-Ups, including some modded. You've got the Legends Ultimate. Where do you spend most of your time?
That's a tough question to answer. I probably spend most of my time modding.
That's not playing the modded cabinet, but actually doing it. Yeah.
Like building something.
Yep.
I'm a builder. But when it comes to games, I'm a classic guy. So like the old Tron, Star Wars, Berserk, Scramble, Warlords. Those are the games I really enjoy. After that, I probably would go like my Vectrex. You know, I go to stuff. I would love to see Arcade 100% make a Vectrex. I'd love, or a Vectrex Mini. I would love that. So it's the older games. But as far as these go, I have to blame Cool Toy a little bit because I play the Star Wars trilogy on this,
Man,
which was playing on here
I
right
see
now.
that, and it's making my mouth water. I really hope we get an original release of that, or not original, but like a factory release of that.
It's a really good game. This plays well. And that and Starblade. I like Starblade, so that works for that as well.
Okay.
And now Paperboy. I guess I've been playing Paperboy a lot. But that Star Wars trilogy, although this scene, they get me every time. I can never beat him in the lightsaber. He
It's so
constantly gets me.
hard. I don't think I can't remember if I've ever beaten that part or not. It's been years since I've played that game, but I used to just love it. And if I did beat it, I brute forced it with lots of quarters, I'm sure. I don't know. These are vague memories, but I look forward to replaying it at some point.
And that's what it is, you know. It's just thinking back to when you were a kid going into a stinky, smoky, smoke-infested pizzeria with gum all over the place.
Yeah, it's disgusting, and there's sketchy people around the corner.
Yeah, you find a quarter on the floor, and you're next to a sketchy guy who tells you to go into the back room, and you go, no thanks, and they're off the other way.
Right. Exactly. Well, listen, man, I've taken up too much of your time, but this was great. These are just some thoughts and questions I've had over the last year or two, just kind of as an outsider looking at all this stuff. So I appreciate you talking me through your thoughts. And
it was an honor.
Yeah, well, no, honor's mine, my man. And the GRS story is incredible. So a big tip of the cap to you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
And to everybody watching, make sure you do go and check out and contribute to the Kickstarter. Like Glenn said, it's not done till it's done, but you guys are really close, and you still have like 25 days or something ridiculous.
Yeah, we're at the last we checked at the beginning of the video was we're at 20,000, and we still had 24 days, I think, to go out of 30. So that's not too bad.
I don't want to jinx you, but you're gonna kill that goal. You're going
it would be nice because it really send a message to people I'm dealing with to continue with. I have again so many other products I want to come out with. I'll tell you one more I was going to come out with.
Yeah, please.
People remember like Frontline, this game I like, or Arcade Warriors. We had an 8-way joystick that also clicked into 8 ways, so you can move one direction and click and shoot another direction. Things like that. I mean, it sounds kind of silly, but certain games you need those kind of controllers. And if this Kickstarter does as well as I'm hoping, it'll give me a lot more verbiage, I guess, with people to take my ideas more seriously. Well, they take it seriously now, but just to really go with it and produce it for you guys. That's really my goal.
My final thought on that, I think your products are making a crap load of money, and there's some creative accounting somewhere saying it isn't. And you've got a house in the Cayman Islands waiting for you if you can wrangle this thing. That's what I think.
That would not be half bad. I would be okay with that.
All right, man. Well, listen, thanks so much. Glen from Glen's Retro Show. You guys have probably already seen him for years, but if you haven't, check out his channel. Make sure to subscribe. Everybody wants those subs. So toss them out there. And Glen, thanks so much for coming. And we should do this again soon. There's more I think we could probably discuss, but thanks so much.
Anytime. You hit me up, we'll be good.
Sounds good. See you, my man.